Listen to me. You don't become a queen the day the world sees your crown. You are already royalty the moment God whispered your purpose into the womb of your mother. But the problem is many women today are waiting to be validated by people who don't even know who they are themselves. The enemy isn't after your beauty. He's after your identity. Because if you ever truly discover who you are in Christ, you become unstoppable. A woman who fears God is a dangerous woman, not to people, but to ignorance, to confusion, to compromise. She doesn't walk into rooms looking for attention. She brings presence. She brings alignment. She brings weight. Let me tell you something. Queens don't chase attention. They steward atmospheres. And one of the most powerful signs that a woman is walking in her God-given authority is emotional detachment. Not because she's bitter, but because she's better. Better aligned, better anchored, better aware of what deserves her oil. You see, when a woman learns to detach emotionally from situations that are beneath her calling, she is not being passive. She is being prophetic. She's speaking by silence. She's answering by withdrawal. She's saying, this no longer serves the version of me that heaven is unveiling. You don't argue when you're wearing a crown. You don't beg when you know your value. You don't cling to people who mishandle what God carefully crafted. Because detachment is a declaration. I belong to something higher. Some of you have confused connection with covenant. Just because someone is around you doesn't mean they're assigned to you. And when you fear God, He will give you discernment to detach without bitterness, to walk away without explanation, and to keep your peace without guilt. A God-fearing woman is not desperate for attention because she has an audience with the King of Kings. She knows what it means to be hidden, to be processed, to be prepared. That's why when she enters a season of silence, she doesn't panic. She praises. Because queens are not made in public, they are crowned in private. She doesn't cry over who left. She prays into who's coming. She doesn't obsess over who didn't choose her. She surrenders to the one who already called her. Her detachment is not rejection, it's redirection. Let me make this clear. When a woman fears God, she stops performing and starts positioning. She doesn't try to prove her worth. She preserves her worth. She doesn't fight for a seat at tables built on pride. She builds altars and heaven responds. Her silence is not weakness, it is strategy. Her tears are not evidence of fragility, they are sacred seeds. And when she walks away from drama, confusion, or dishonor, it is not abandonment, it is advancement. If you ever meet a woman who is not moved by applause, not broken by rejection, not distracted by flattery, respect her. She has died to self. She has been through fire. She has been pruned by God. And now she moves only by instruction, not emotion. And that's what makes her a queen. Not her clothes, not her charm, not even her charisma, but her ability to stay faithful to God when no one is watching. Her ability to walk away with dignity when others would have stayed for validation. Her ability to love without idolizing, to serve without compromising, to wait without murmuring. That is the sign of royalty. A God-fearing woman does not depend on compliments, status, or external recognition to define who she is. Her identity is rooted in the one who created her, not in the opinions of people who don't know her worth. She doesn't need to hear that she is beautiful to believe it, because she has already heard the voice of her Creator calling her fearfully and wonderfully made. Her value is not tied to trends, titles, or temporary applause. She carries a quiet confidence that comes from knowing she is seen, known, and loved by God. When others overlook her, it does not disturb her peace, because she understands that visibility does not equal value. This kind of woman does not chase the approval of others. She is not swayed by public opinion, because her validation comes from a higher source. She is grounded in the truth that her life has meaning, not because of what she does, but because of who she belongs to. When she walks into a room, she does not perform. She is not seeking to impress. She brings her full self, whole, healed, and hidden in the presence of God. And even in seasons when she feels unseen by people, she is never overlooked by heaven. The God-fearing woman lives by principle, not popularity. She is guided by purpose, not pressured by culture. She does not conform to the world's image of success, because she knows her calling is higher. Her choices reflect her convictions. Her peace cannot be shaken by rejection, because she stands on a foundation that cannot be moved. Her identity is not reactive, it is revealed. And the deeper her relationship with God, the stronger her sense of self becomes. She is not empty waiting to be filled. She is full, overflowing from the presence of the one who defines her. Royalty is not about robes or thrones. It is about alignment with divine order. A woman can walk into a room wearing simple clothes and still shift the atmosphere, not because of what she has on, but because of what she carries within. Her authority is invisible to the untrained eye, but undeniable to those who walk in the Spirit. She may not wear a visible crown, but heaven recognizes her posture. She has submitted her life to divine law, and that submission has qualified her for rulership. You do not become a queen by being celebrated by the world. You become a queen by being consecrated by God. A woman aligned with heaven doesn't seek to dominate, she seeks to serve. She doesn't crave attention, she craves assignment. Her actions are not motivated by ego, but by obedience. She is sensitive to timing, to instruction, to purpose. Her power is quiet, but it is real. It's not loud, but it's lasting. Because the authority she carries is not man-made, it's God-given. Alignment with divine principles means she walks in wisdom. She speaks with grace. She acts with discipline. She doesn't make decisions out of impulse, but out of discernment. Her life is ordered, not chaotic, structured, not scattered. And that order reflects the order of the kingdom. That is how royalty functions. Not in noise, but in knowing. Not in flash, but in faithfulness. She does not need a platform to prove her influence. Her very presence is enough. People feel peace when she walks in. They feel conviction when she speaks. They feel God when she prays. This is the hidden glory of a queen. It's not what you see with the eyes, but what you sense in the spirit. Because when a woman aligns with God, she becomes a throne of authority, not just a symbol of beauty. Emotional detachment is often misunderstood as indifference, but in the life of a God-fearing woman, it is a mark of divine maturity. She does not distance herself out of coldness, but out of clarity. She has grown to understand that not every situation deserves her response, and not every emotion is worth entertaining. She has learned the discipline of protecting her peace without explanation. It is not that she doesn't feel, she feels deeply, but her emotions no longer drive her decisions. She has come to know the difference between reacting out of flesh and responding through wisdom. There is strength in her stillness. Her silence is not weakness, it is power under control. When she chooses to remain calm in the face of chaos, she is not being passive. She is being prophetic. She is making a declaration that her emotions are submitted to something greater than the moment. This detachment is not about shutting down her heart, it's about guarding it. She understands that her heart is the wellspring of life, and what flows from it must be protected. She does not allow toxic words, manipulative people, or petty offenses to drain her spirit. Her emotional detachment is a shield, not a wall. It allows her to love without losing herself, to help without being used, to serve without being enslaved. She has been through seasons where emotions ruled her, and she paid the price in sleepless nights and wounded dignity. But now she walks with discernment. She knows when to speak and when to remain silent. She knows when to engage and when to walk away. And in this restraint, there is revelation. That true power is not in expressing every feeling, but in mastering them. Her emotional control is not suppression, it is stewardship. And it reveals the strength of a woman anchored in God. Spiritual detachment is one of the clearest signs that a woman trusts God more than she trusts outcomes. It is not a lack of care, it is a declaration of surrender. A God-fearing woman has learned that her life is not held together by her plans, but by divine timing. She does not cling to people, opportunities, or seasons out of fear. She releases them in faith, believing that what is from God cannot be taken, and what is taken was never from Him. Her ability to let go is rooted in her confidence that God is in control even when she doesn't understand. This kind of detachment doesn't make her cold. It makes her consecrated. She does not live in emotional panic when things shift because she has learned to anchor her identity in the unchanging character of God. When doors close, she doesn't fall apart, she praises. When people walk away, she doesn't chase, she blesses. When the future seems unclear, she doesn't fret, she waits. Because her peace is not in the presence of answers, but in the presence of God. She has trained her soul to trust the silence of God, not just His voice. She walks by faith, not by sight, which means she has released the need to control every outcome. This spiritual detachment allows her to be still and know, to move without fear, and to worship without conditions. She understands that delays are not denials. They are divine strategies. She has stopped forcing open doors that God has shut because she no longer lives for immediate gratification, but for eternal purpose. Her spirit is governed by peace, not pressure. And in that peace, she carries the unshakable strength of a woman who knows that God's timing is never late, it is always perfect. The fear of God is not a feeling of dread, it is a posture of reverence. And it is the foundation of true feminine power. A woman who fears God is not easily shaken because her values are anchored in something eternal. She is not driven by trends, temporary emotions, or fleeting applause. Her heart bows before the authority of God, and from that bowing comes the strength to stand. She does not make decisions based on impulse, but on instruction. She asks, not what do I want, but what does God require of me? That question guides her, shapes her, and guards her. This kind of woman does not confuse confidence with arrogance. Her strength is not in proving herself, but in positioning herself under divine order. The fear of God governs her choices. It causes her to walk away when others would have stayed, to stay silent when others would have spoken, to remain pure when compromise knocks at the door. Her reverence for God becomes her compass, helping her navigate relationships, ambitions, and even heartbreak with grace and wisdom. Her speech is seasoned with humility. Her actions reflect discipline. Her presence carries authority, not because she demands it, but because she embodies it. She walks with the understanding that her life is a testimony and that her obedience to God is the greatest expression of her beauty. In a world that celebrates outer appearance, she cultivates inner depth. She fears the Lord, and because of that, she fears nothing else. Her peace is unexplainable. Her dignity is intact. Her boundaries are firm, and all of it flows from one central truth. Her life is not her own. She lives to please the one who formed her. And in doing so, she becomes not just a woman of strength, but a vessel of divine influence. A God-fearing woman does not measure her worth by her relationship status because she understands that no human connection can complete what only God can fulfill. Her identity is not rooted in being chosen by a man, but in knowing she was already chosen by God. She does not look to romantic affirmation to feel valuable. She draws her worth from the one who called her daughter before anyone ever called her beautiful. She is not desperate for love. She is developed in love. She has spent time becoming whole, not waiting to be rescued. Her relationship with God has taught her that she is already enough. She does not idolize marriage, nor does she fear singleness. She honors both seasons as tools in God's hands to shape her into his image. Whether single, married, or waiting, she is not defined by her title, but by her testimony. She carries herself with grace, not because she's trying to attract someone, but because she reflects someone greater. Her joy is not on hold until someone commits to her. It is complete because God has already committed himself to her forever. This woman no longer entertains relationships that drain her. She no longer attaches her value to how much attention she receives. Her eyes are fixed on purpose. Her heart is anchored in truth. She doesn't just want companionship, she wants covenant. She doesn't just want romance, she wants righteousness. Because she knows that when a woman is secure in her relationship with God, she becomes magnetic in the spirit. She doesn't chase love, she becomes love. She doesn't compete for attention, she commands respect. And all of it flows from a heart that is content in God and committed to becoming everything he designed her to be, with or without a ring. A crowned queen is not always the one in the spotlight, the one who speaks the loudest, or the one constantly seeking recognition. She is often hidden in humility, clothed in quiet strength, and walking in rooms without needing to announce her authority. Her crown is not on her head, it's in her character. She understands that true greatness does not compete, it completes. She does not fight for relevance because she knows her value is eternal. She is not in a race with other women. She is in rhythm with God's timing. Humility is her secret weapon. It protects her from pride and preserves her from self-destruction. While others may strive for validation, she leans into obedience. While others boast in accomplishment, she boasts in her dependence on God. She is confident but not arrogant. She is gifted but not boastful. She is anointed but never entitled. Her greatness is veiled, not because she lacks it, but because God is preparing the right moment for it to be revealed. She celebrates others because she is not intimidated by their success. She knows that another woman's elevation does not threaten her own destiny. She understands that her lane is unique, her calling is distinct, and her crown is custom made. So she doesn't imitate, she incubates, she builds quietly, she prays consistently. And in doing so, she becomes the woman heaven trusts with influence. This kind of woman doesn't need to be the center of attention because she is centered in Christ. She doesn't need applause to feel affirmed because she is already affirmed by the one who formed her. Her humility gives her access to wisdom, and her stillness makes room for clarity. Though the world may overlook her, heaven has already crowned her, and she walks with that knowing. A woman who fears God is not controlled by her emotions because she has learned to live from a deeper well, the well of peace that comes from prayer. She has discovered that her feelings, though real, are not final. They may visit, but they do not rule. She has trained her spirit to pause before reacting, to seek God before speaking, and to wait before responding. Her ability to remain calm in the face of provocation is not weakness. It is strength restrained by wisdom. She has wrestled in the secret place, so she no longer fights unnecessary battles in public. This woman's emotions do not drive her decisions, because she has surrendered those emotions at the altar of intimacy with God. She understands that peace is not found in circumstances, but in communion. Her calmness is not personality, it is the product of spiritual discipline. She has developed the habit of running to God before running to people. Her prayer life is not a ritual, it is her refuge. And because she meets God consistently, she walks with clarity even in confusion and with poise even in pressure. There are storms she used to react to that no longer disturb her. Words that once offended her now bounce off the shield of her discernment. She no longer takes everything personally because she knows the enemy often uses emotional entanglement to derail purpose. She is emotionally intelligent, not because she read a book, but because she let the Spirit train her through experience, pain, and prayer. People may misunderstand her silence, but they do not know the strength it takes to stay still. Her calmness is her crown, and her quiet is her weapon. She is not numb, she is nurtured, not passive, just positioned. And through it all, her peace becomes her power. A God-fearing woman does not chase what belongs to her. She attracts it through divine alignment. She does not run after people, opportunities, or attention because she understands that whatever is assigned to her by God will recognize her without her striving for it. Her confidence is not built on pursuit, but on position. She has positioned her heart, her mind, and her life under the authority of God. And from that posture of surrender flows undeniable favor. She no longer hustles for what is already hers by inheritance. When others are caught in cycles of comparison and competition, she remains grounded in her lane. She knows that running after what is not hers only delays what is. She does not manipulate outcomes. She does not chase validation. She lives in such obedience that blessings follow her, not the other way around. Her time is too precious, her energy too valuable, and her calling too high to be wasted on proving herself. She doesn't have to advertise her worth. Her fruit speaks for itself. There is a stillness about her that speaks louder than noise. Her presence carries weight not because she demands attention, but because she carries authority. People are drawn to her not for superficial reasons, but because of the spirit she carries. Her peace is attractive. Her wisdom is magnetic. Her discipline is inspiring. She does not fight to be noticed. She is noticed because she walks with God. She has learned the secret. Divine order produces divine attraction. When her spirit is in alignment, everything else begins to align. Relationships, doors, timing. She lets go of the urge to chase because she has matured into the understanding that what is from God doesn't need to be forced. It only needs to be received. And she stands ready, not chasing, but becoming. Her detachment is not a sign of isolation. It is a mark of consecration. A God-fearing woman often finds herself pulling away, not because she is withdrawing from people, but because she is being drawn closer to God. Her separation is not about distance, it's about distinction. She understands that when God is preparing her for something sacred, He will first separate her from the ordinary. She no longer views solitude as loneliness, but as a divine invitation to be refined, renewed, and realigned. She chooses to step away from distractions so she can hear clearly, move intentionally, and live purposefully. She knows that her assignment cannot survive in noisy environments. She has learned that intimacy with God often requires seasons of quietness. Seasons where she walks alone, not because she is unwanted, but because she is being transformed. She does not resent these moments of detachment. She welcomes them. Because every time she pulls back from the crowd, she grows deeper in conviction, stronger in discernment, and clearer in direction. The world may label it isolation, but heaven calls it consecration. She is no longer afraid to say no, to set boundaries, to guard her space, not from a place of pride, but from a place of protection. She understands that her oil is costly, and she refuses to waste it on people or places that cannot carry the weight of her purpose. Her detachment is a sacred filter. It keeps her heart clean, her mind focused, and her spirit sensitive. The time she spends away from the noise becomes the time she receives divine blueprints. In secret, she is sharpened. In stillness, she is strengthened. In detachment, she becomes distinguished. And as God continues to separate her, he is also sanctifying her, setting her apart for something greater than the world can see. So hear this, and let it settle deep in your spirit. A God-fearing woman is not waiting to be crowned. She is already crowned by the hand of the Almighty. Her power is not in her posture, but in her purpose. Her strength is not in how loud she speaks, but in how faithfully she walks. The world may not recognize her, but heaven has already affirmed her. She does not need a stage to be significant, nor applause to feel appointed. She is royal, not because of what she wears, but because of who she worships. Her emotional detachment is not rejection, it is revelation. Her spiritual stillness is not weakness, it is wisdom. She has been set apart, sealed with glory, and designed to reign. And when the time is right, what has been hidden will be revealed. Not by force, not by man, but by God, because a God-fearing woman is not becoming a queen. She already is, just crowned in disguise.